Hello, I'm going to do a video about how Asperger's affects me as an individual and what it's been like in the last year since I got diagnosed, because a lot of people have been asking me stuff about it. So I'm going to try and answer as many of those questions and queries and stuff as I can. Since I got diagnosed, it's still been a difficult year this year. Not as bad as last year. I don't think anything can beat last year. But I have found it easier knowing that I am an Asperger and I can't do certain things that neurotypical people can do. So I've not been putting as much pressure on myself, yet I've still been pushing myself to do the thing to step forward towards reaching the goals that I've got. So I've not been proper pushing myself to do really ridiculous things that everybody else is doing that hasn't got Asperger's, but I've been sort of planning out what I need to do in the next year. I'm making small steps to attain those goals, kind of thing. I've been self-employed for just under a year, but now I'm kind of moving into support working with people with mental health conditions and disabilities. So I've done a bit of volunteering and some training and stuff like that, so hopefully I'll get a full-time job or a part-time job even, doing that. But I've been working as a dancer, i.e. somebody that takes the clothes off. And at first I really enjoyed the flexibility. You can go in when you want, you're your own boss. The money was decent, I saved up a lot. I've been able to move out on my own and I've got a great little flat. So it's like my little sanctuary. So yeah, I've done alright so far, but it's not really making me happy anymore. I don't have anything against people that do it because I've got a lot of dancer friends and I understand, the reason why people do it, because sometimes it is good money, but it's not for me, that's it. So it's time to move on now from that. So I'm going to run through how Asperger's affects me as an individual. Obviously different people with Asperger's have different quirks and routines and special interests and stuff like that. Everyone is different. Some are more severe than others. I've been told a few times that I don't appear like I have Asperger's, but that's because I'm so good at hiding it. I'm a really good actor, and I've had a lot of practice. And I think a lot of the time, although I don't really give a shit about people knowing that I've got Asperger's because it's not a bad thing, even though it is a pain in the arse sometimes, it's not like an illness. Lost my train of thought. Anyway, moving on. The first point is work. A lot of people with Asperger's don't have a full-time job because being around people, a lot of the time people that you don't have anything in common with, you don't kind of connect with on a high level, and you find it difficult to talk to them. There's no escape. 8 hours a day. Yeah, you've got your break times, but the way I see it is, I've done it a few times, if you go off on your own on dinner and stuff, people think you're being antisocial and you get excluded from the rest of the office or wherever you're working. I have problems talking to people in the break room and small talk, and I don't know anything about Kim Kardashian or Coronation Street. I haven't got a TV. I don't know any of that stuff. And when you try and go along with it, I think people pick up that you don't have a clue what you're talking about and that you're a bit of a weirdo. So, and it's very rare that you meet somebody in an office that's really into Black Sabbath or Motley Crue or Frank Lloyd Wright's architecture or Middlewood Mental Asylum or local history. So it's a bit kind of there's always that wall And I find myself saying the same things over and over again, and it's just like, oh, I just really need to avoid this repetitive, monotonous, tedious conversation that I have to have every morning with this person that I have nothing in common with. And it's draining being around people constantly for 8-9 hours a day, and then being sat at a computer trying to do work that you don't understand because you don't understand the processes and the formulas and the silly rules and, you know, the way other people do things, because it doesn't sound logical in your head. You've got no passion for what you're doing. I don't care about fucking pensions. I don't care about selling people stupid prices on the gas and electricity and, you know, wasting people money and simultaneously saying that it's going to save them money. You know, there's no kind of like passion for that. So I'm either totally obsessed and interested in something, or I just don't give a shit, and I can't help that. That's not me being lazy. That's because of the way my brain works, and it's always been like that, and I'm trying my best to work on that. But I think the way forward is for me to do something that I will love and enjoy, and I will get a lot of job satisfaction from, such as something in the care sector, working with people who struggle with disability or whatever, you know, that I'm going to get some kind of like purpose out of. You know, I'm going to feel like I'm part of something and I'm doing something good. So, I mean, a lot of people with Asperger's have like really high levels of intelligence in computers and technical things like maps and mathematics and stuff like that. I am not a technical person. I have nothing, I don't know anything about computers. I'm shit with computers. So I'm not kind of like a stereotypical Asper. And I'm quite creative and I'm good at writing, but I'm not like mega sort of kind of like well talented in anything, you know what I mean? But the Aspie place in Sheffield are going to do some tests and stuff to see what I'm most intelligent in, what I can do, what I can't do in the workplace and stuff like that. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing the outcome of that. The next one is relationships. What's a relationship? I've forgotten. I find it very difficult to connect with people romantically because, and I don't know if it's because I tend to go for extroverts, or people that are kind of like really lively and stuff like that. But I think I need an introvert, if anything, because I find it so exhausting having to make conversation constantly and to feel like I've got to be doing things like we need to go and do this there at that place at that time, and we've got to dress this way and, you know, do this and do that and do things. I'd rather just like sit down, listen to some music, chill out, have some food or something, and just be. I hate the whole dating thing. I find it awkward, especially if you find if it's with somebody that you have to force the conversation with, which 9 times out of 10, if I meet somebody, it is forced. I don't know. I just think it's more stress than it's worth, and I'm happy being as I am. And if somebody comes along, then they come along, but I'm not waiting for anything. I find it very hard to gauge other people's feelings. If somebody doesn't tell me that they like me, then I will assume that they don't like me. Simple as that. I'm very black and white, very blunt, and a lot of people, not just like during dating and stuff like that, but a lot of people in general, not neurotypical but normal people, are not that honest about the feelings. They're very reserved, they kind of don't want to upset people. But me, I really like it when somebody is honest with me and I know where I stand, and they are black and white too. So maybe I need to find somebody with Asperger's, I don't know. So another point that I need to talk about is friendships. I have got a lot of friends. I'm not being a big head. That sounds like I'm being a big head. I'm not. I have got a lot of friends. I do have a social life. I can ring somebody up anytime I want and go and socialise with them. A lot of the time, I don't really feel like doing that, unless it's something low key like going for a little meal or going for a walk or something like that. I don't really enjoy going clubbing and getting pissed up or off my tits anymore, because I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. But yeah, there's always something to do, always somebody to talk to, always somebody to sort of hang around with if needs be, or if I'm feeling like I want to socialise. But I find that it's rare that people do genuinely understand that you need time to yourself and you can't be at people's beck and call all the time. If somebody rings me up like an hour before they go out and say, Anna, do you want to come out? And I'm like, no. I'm inside and I'm really ill, or I need to go and see him. I'll make up an excuse. Not so much anymore. I'll just say I don't really feel like it. Sorry, have a good night. But before I used to make up these elaborate sort of far-fetched tales of how I can't come out. And I suppose that people found this quite tiresome after a while. So yeah, I mean, although I do love my friends and, you know, this, that and the other, I've got a lot of good people around me, I can't do things all the time. If I socialise once or twice a week, that's enough. So, yeah, I mean, if you have a bad patch where you don't want to go out for, say, like a couple of weeks, then people stop talking to you as well, and you kind of feel a bit like isolated. And although I enjoy my own company and I just like to chill and just be a lot of the time, I kind of feel like sometimes I get pushed out a bit because people assume that I'm antisocial or whatever, when really I'm not. So, yeah. And I think I've got like two friends really that I can sort of trust to just let me be, and they don't need to ask questions, they don't kick off at me, they don't make me do things that I don't want to do. But I think a lot of people, like acquaintances and stuff like that, kind of sometimes see me as being rude or like I don't like them or something, and that's not the case. So I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else to add really. Special interests, actually, that's a good one. People with Asperger's have really specific interests, and I touched on this on my last video if I can remember right. My specific interests are Frank Lloyd Wright's architecture, Middlewood Mental Asylum, local history in general, like Sheffield's local history, which is the city where I'm from, and music, mainly 80s rock music, like Motley Crue, Hanoi Rocks, Dogs D'Amour, Guns N' Roses, that kind of thing. But I like all music. Not all music, actually, I'm lying about that. I fucking hate drum and bass, I hate pop punk. There's a few things that I can't stand, but it's mainly like metal, rock, blues, grunge, that kind of thing. But I will spend and I always have since I was about 11, 12 years old, I will spend hours and hours and hours, and I'll fixate on certain musicians, which sounds a bit weird, but I'll fixate on like certain musicians and read about them, and I'll feel the need to absorb as much information as I possibly can about them, because I'll just find it so interesting and so exciting to read about this person and, you know, their music and stuff like that. And like even like the things that I wear when I'm looking for new clothes and stuff like that, sorry, my phone's ringing. It's my mum. When I'm looking for a new outfit and stuff like that, I'll look at old pictures of my favourite musicians. So like one of my favourites is Michael Monroe. I love his sense of style, and I've copied him so much. But that's, yeah, I suppose, like, I don't think it's an obsession. It's just a really sort of heightened interest, if you like. So yeah, that's about it really. I think a lot of people with Asperger's do have special talents and stuff like that, and I suppose my special talent is writing. I've always been mega into writing. I've always written since I was old enough to pick up a pen. I love it, it keeps me sane, and I've just started writing music as well, which, that's, you know, Mum, what does she want? Which that combines sort of two special interests, if you like, music and writing, which is great. So what else? I'm distracted now. Thanks, Mum. The good sides of Asperger's is we're really honest, maybe a bit too blunt sometimes without meaning to be, people. We're very loyal people. We'd do anything for anybody. If we make a friend, we would do anything for that friend, and sometimes that could end up in tears because you kind of get used a bit or misled or stuff like that, and that kind of ties in with dating and stuff like that as well. I've been led on a few times last year, and I'm not prepared for it to happen again. And it took a good few times for me to learn that lesson, because, you know, I don't understand people's intentions and feelings and stuff like that, which is something that I need to work on. But yeah, I suppose Asperger's isn't a bad thing. Would I change the way I am? Sometimes, yeah. And I don't mean that, you know, in any, I don't mean any offence to anybody else out there that's got Asperger's, but for me personally, I think it's a pain in the arse a lot of the time. It hinders my daily life. I find it quite difficult to sort of get on with my chores and keep organised and stuff like that, because I get distracted easily, and, you know, but on the other hand, you know, I think I'm a really nice, caring person, and I've got a lot to give. So, and yeah, I think I've covered everything. I'm still distracted by my mum ringing me. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll try and do another, piss off. I'll try and do another one soon. So thank you for watching. Bye.